be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. We unpause and repause it so we don't have to see our ugly mug in triplicate. That's usually a good idea. Lots of news to be covered today. A huge amount, actually. It was difficult to actually stuff the docket properly because there was so much to cover. And this is abnormal, by the way, for like late Saturday. Half of these were docketed yesterday and then into a Monday. Normally, I'm used to it being relatively on the sparse side. You'll excuse me while I drink some Dr. Pepper. Got plenty of that. Dr. Pepper. Something that I hadn't really drank since I was a young child. But then they came out with Dr. Pepper Zero. I'm like, well, it basically tastes the same, actually. We have, for example, Supreme Court sides with Montgomery County parents who objected to LGBTQ plus MAP 1, 2, 3, whatever, books in schools. This is a very major decision, actually, and a very positive one, and a huge win for the Trump administration. Rwanda and Congo sign U.S. brokered peace treaty, which I will get into. This is something that like 99% of people have never heard about because they couldn't even find Rwanda on a map, basically, or the Congo, for that matter. Norwegian royal charged with rape. Police say victim count in double digits. Yes, indeed, we have some court intrigue going on. IDF kills key Hamas founder and mastermind of October 7th terrorist attack in Israel. So this is reported. This is alleged. So we're not 100% sure that it's true, I believe. Then there was the meteor in Georgia. That's an interesting story. People are now finding chunks of meteorite in like their backyards and stuff like that in and around the general area. Apparently, a huge chunk of it actually managed to penetrate a home. So it had to have been a fairly large meteorite after it blew up in space. A chunk came down and hit there, and now there are little chunks basically all over the place. Honestly, if I had a multi-pound meteorite hitting my house, assuming that it was of the right composition, I would actually be quite happy. Well, I mean, a single slice of this is going to pay for all of the roofing repairs, so it won't really be a problem. You put that up on auction and you'll get tens of thousands of dollars easily. Parents, not progressives, know their kids best. They should control education. I mostly agree, just saying, and again, I'm no conservative. Speaking of conservatives, the American conservative, Argentina onward. Yes, indeed, we have an article about Malay as well. Trump aims to change the nation and further cement his power as deadline looms for Big Beautiful Bill. It has gone through Congress now and has gone through committee and everything else. It looks like it will indeed pass. I happen to support it. We'll get into the reasons why. And this boggled my mind. I was considering doing a one-off video earlier about this, but I figured I would just throw it into the mix here in a live stream. UN nuclear watchdog chief says Iran could again begin enriching uranium in a matter of months. Well, yeah, years are calculated in months. How many months are you talking about, dude? 30? 40? Something like that. While I do not support the U.S. action in Iran, at the same time, the operation was a success, absolutely floored the nuclear program that was there in Iran. I mean, the shockwaves alone from a bunker buster are going to pretty much cripple the abilities of a nuclear facility to operate. And it doesn't matter how hardened it is. When you drop 7 or 8 of them on a nuclear facility, I would assume that does considerable damage. Even if it doesn't fully penetrate, it doesn't even at that point actually matter. So the UN is just bitching like usual. They've done this for years. They hate Trump. They don't like the United States. It's quite clear. And for some reason, give me a second here. My rants are not coming in. Give me a moment. There we go. That's a little bit better. We have to make sure that we can actually see the Rumble rants. Otherwise, we're going to miss half of the super chats. Copium Poppies, Part 1, Sticks. I read those segments from Nutty Norman you posted on X. You should seriously try and get that made into a movie or a series where each segment is an episode. Have you ever seen that Canadian adult cartoon called Kevin Spencer? If not, you gotta watch it. It's very Adult Swim-esque, but Nutty Norman reminds me a bit of that combined with Anti-Forrest Gump, damn character limit. Yeah, I know you noticed that before, and somebody else actually told me that in a DM. 2 people have told me that it reminds them of something called Anti-Forrest Gump. I happen to approve of this. I think that this is a good thing, a good sign of things to come. Now, Nutty Norman will be a book, but it could be adapted into a film. Dr. Pepper, the drink of the gods. You gotta chill it first, though. A drunk changeling. Eating the chicken chunks now. Oh. Alright, now you're gonna make me lose my Dr. Pepper. If you mix it with the barbecue sauce, it becomes perfectly edible pulled chicken tacos. No, it doesn't. What the hell? What are you talking about? Alright, imagine, everyone. Here's your MRE. Here's your main entree. It's chunks of chicken. Okay, they've been cooked. They're not terrible in and of themselves, other than they're not seasoned. But the only seasoning that they give you is this weird, like, red taco sauce, actually. That you slather all over them and, I guess, chop them up and mix them around. You can make, like, a pulled chicken or something like that. But it's not very good. It's, like, probably on the same scale as the vomlet. Honestly, I would love to try a latter-day vomlet from like a 1980s MRE. I will eat one. I will do this live. But I will never eat the menu, the white chicken chunk menu. I'll never eat that again. No, not under any circumstances. I don't care how much you pay me. Same with the candy corn. Robo Guy, do you think Trump should deport Muslims from the U.S. illegal and legal, or ban Sharia law? I'm seeing many on X saying they're here to turn the U.S. into an Islamic state. Your thoughts? If somebody attempts to institute Sharia law, then I would ban that. If they're illegally in the country, I would deport them. If they're legally in the country, so there's no dispute about their legality, there's literally nothing legally that you can do. You may find that fortunate or unfortunate. It kind of depends on your political proclivities. Roboguy, by the way, do you notice the @username update? No. I don't know what that is, actually. I see that Anton is there. That means we've got to do our due diligence. Whenever Anton arrives, we must have a fingerful of Bovrat. Trust me, I don't mind. We'll get to our sponsors in a moment before we get to the news. God, that's fucking good. You South Africans, you made a yeast spread that's way, way better than what the Australians or the British have done. It's definitely an invention that deserved inventing, so to speak. Copium Poppies. That was me that DM'd. Didn't know if you saw it or not. Anti-Forrest Gump isn't a thing. It's just my way of describing Forrest Gump as evil or an anti-hero. Lol. Yes, but somebody else actually DM'd me the same thing. They might have gotten it from you. I'm assuming they're probably a fan of yours. Twit X2007. Styx is a grifter. No, actually, no. I'm one of the very few larger content creators on YouTube that has never taken a cent in ad revenue, actually, for example. Let's get to our sponsors, since Anton is in chat. He will say, too salty. Ah, there we go. Time for salty. Anton can always be counted on for that. We have cultivated-mind.com. You can get these. You can get mushroom pills. I take one every morning. Took mine this morning along with my normal multivitamin. You can also get doggo snacks, and trust me, they are apparently very tasty, to the point where the dog will stare at the bag, pleading with you to give it the entire bag of doggo snacks. You should not do that. You have to measure it out, although Cultivated Mind might not care. Then we have BiltongUSA.com or AntonsUSA.com. Use code STICKS, by the way, on all of these sites for a discount. Anton can hook you up with all sorts of biltong, some of which is going to be eaten later, along with some tea. We'll get to that later. He can also hook you up, well, he has tea too, but he also has Bovrite, Marmite, Vegemite, Sticks, Hex, and Hammer cups, Sticks, Hex, and Hammer shirts, Sticks, Hex, and Hammer tumblers. What's not to love? You buy a new shirt and you get a bunch of beef, and you can go to the other sites and get some mushroom pills and shit like that. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com. We can get delicious teas. We've got Clanker coffee. Other forms of coffee are available as well, but the Clanker coffee is definitely my favorite. I consider it to be the smoothest, and I've tried like 5 different varieties, and they do make decaf for those of you that are homosexual. But, it's a good time had by all. Everyone deserves some good coffee and tea. By the way, I found out if you take the tea and you put like half a pack of this in a drip filter and filter it through, you can make a full pot of tea, and it just works. It works perfectly. I never knew this before. I thought that loose leaf tea, generally speaking, you had to put in a kettle or something like that. Must be the New Englander in me. So yes, we've got cultivated-mind.com, biltongusa.com, and jamandbean.com, and use code STICKS on all of these sites. Anton is over in Rumble right now. There's a reason for that. He is a repeat clanker. He is a general in the Clank army. There aren't many of them, but there are some. Sigilstone is also a general, just saying. Wasted Bonehead as well. They like to feud with one another. They're feuding over who will take the field of their respective regiments, I suppose, or something like that. Lemon Curd, I am a clankette. Oh, I didn't know you were female. I thought that you were, I just assume that everyone on the internet that I meet is male. It's usually the right thing to do if you are a male. Dexter Spunky, my dad was one of your very first fans. He is in the hospital with acute pancreatitis. It would lift spirits if you could wish him well. His name is Chris. Chris, yes indeed, you have clanker energy coming your way. So I wish you well. I wish you a speedy recovery. Lemon Curd, I am a girl. Yes. Oh, a girl. Oh my God. Oh my. I just assume that everyone that I meet on the internet is male. After a while, you realize that a lot of those girls that are messaging you, they're not actually girls. Just saying. Are you flattered? Well, I mean, I don't know what you look like or anything like that, but yeah, I always like it when there are girls that are watching my videos. I'm always hoping that they're, well, never mind. Supreme Court sides with Montgomery County parents who objected to LGBTQ books in schools. Now, here's the thing. This is a very, very interesting story. SCOTUS did not really side against books that are about like gay characters or anything like that in schools. What they were opposing is specifically what was being objected to by Montgomery County parents, which was, hey, this book is teaching my 12-year-old son to stuff his finger in his ass and things like that. Weird shit. Stuff that we would normally associate with pedophilia. That's what they were against. And so it made sense for them to come out against and say, look, the lower court suits can move forward. You're not allowed to injunct them. That makes absolutely no sense. And this has been the case for literally the last couple of years. What happens is that you have a situation where a school district is literally teaching kids about really, really risque topics. Now, they're going to do that sort of thing anyway. That's perfectly fine. If they're doing it together, I don't really give a shit. But to be instructed by an adult, hey, children, your homework today is to finger your asshole. I don't think that the average American parent is really comfortable with that. Not unless they're negligent in some way or mentally retarded. But unfortunately, this has been happening. And so SCOTUS has simply said, yes, suits can move forward against that sort of thing. That's the only thing that this means. It doesn't even mean that you can't teach the material. It means that you can injunct the teaching of the material pending further litigation. I'm assuming that any sane lower court is going to block it, because a lot of this material is very, very risque. It's beyond risque. It's sexually explicit in nature. If it were straight porn, and it is basically pornography, it would likewise be blocked. It doesn't matter if it's straight, gay, bisexual, whatever. It literally doesn't matter. And if it's lesbians, I don't believe in blocking that, because lesbians are great, but anything else, I'm just joking, by the way. Somebody will clip that out and claim that I'm not joking, by the way. Basically, it does not matter. Straight, gay, lesbian, bi, MAP, whatever it happens to be. It should not be taught as part of a publicly funded curriculum. That's literally all that anyone at this point is asking. Nobody cares if you get a gay marriage. Perfectly fine. Two gay guys got married. Whatever. Couple of lesbians got together. That's fine. Nobody cares. You've got a threesome, and that's fine too. Just don't involve the kids. That's the only thing that we're asking. This is one of the few issues on which I can actually be semi-moralistic. Just leave the kids out of it. As long as you leave them alone, I don't give a fuck what you do. Oh, you dude decided to wear a dress. Why should I be offended by that? Go down to Bourbon Street or, something like that. You'll be fully accepted. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. But if you walk into a school in full makeup and a dress, and then you're exposing your crotch to small children while reading a book about sphincterbation, yeah, I think that most people have a problem with you. I think that they think that you're a pervert and would like to beat the shit out of you. Just saying. I mean, come on, dude. I see Last Beacon is there and he's poking me. I'm gonna poke back. If you continue doing that. Let's see. That's more hilarious than you know. Jimmy Stargle, fuck Maryland. And Last Beacon continues to poke. Keep in mind, eventually I will have to silence you for 5 minutes if you continue doing poke. Copium, well, to be fair, you have won multiple grifties, lol. Oh yeah, I do, actually. One of them's in the Netherlands. It got a little bit damaged on travel, actually, but yes, I do have some grifties. I have one right back here. The problem is I've got fucking Jesus H. Christ. Too many things in my background. But yes, I did win a grifty. 2 years in a row, I was the people's choice for the grifties. And trust me, I'm much more proud of that than you think. I just don't want to put too close to the edge so it doesn't fall off. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. Guess what's inside it? I couldn't help myself. It's literally just sand. Gift, mister? Yep, 2 years running. I was the people's choice for Grifter of the Year. And I'm going for a third in a row, actually, this year. We'll see what happens. Rwanda and Congo sign U.S. brokered peace treaty. Yeah, well, I mean, that's good. I was not aware that they were actually at odds. I'm sure that therefore 99.9% of you were not aware that they were at odds because I have to do this shit for a living. President Trump claims credit for the outcome. The main question now is how the treaty will be implemented as fighting still rages in eastern Congo. Apparently, there have been some terroristic attacks in eastern Congo, actually, originating from fighters backed by Rwanda. And now they've got a peace treaty, but now we have to wait and see whether they actually hold to the peace treaty. The answer is probably not. There's a fairly bad hit or miss ratio with regards to these treaties. But the Trump administration is taking credit anyway for having brokered it, which is a good thing. With China gobbling up most of Eastern Europe and Eastern Africa, and with most of North Africa at this point, other than Egypt, completely destabilized, it behooves us to have at least that slice of Western Africa in order to have some sort of stability within the Western world. There's a lot of oil in the region. You look at the ECOWAS countries, for example, Nigeria. There's a lot of oil. There are a lot of agricultural crops. There's an enormous amount of, a huge amount of tonnage of lumber, for example, although we also need to exact influence on Congo, especially to try and prevent deforestation. And if we can do that and balance things out, then things will be better for both them and for people in other countries. Because they're going to need exotic lumber, but you can't take too much of it. They're going to need coffee, but you can only deforest a certain amount of area to actually grow the coffee. They're going to need oil, but again, needs to enter the market at fair prices and so forth. So it really behooves the United States to broker this kind of deal. I was not aware, though, and I have to analyze news and politics for a living, so this shows the negligence of the legacy media, once again, on level red. I was not aware that Rwanda and Congo actually had a border conflict. Very interesting. I wonder why they didn't report on that. I'm going to have to look further into the story, though. Probably do that tomorrow for either tomorrow's live stream or a standalone video, because this sometimes happens. Something that is relatively major ends up getting sort of brushed under the rug, and they don't talk about it at all. It's not that they're lying to you, they simply don't tell you anything. No. How wonderful. Happens all the time. Norwegian royal charged with rape. Police say victim count in double digits. Crown Princess Meteorite's eldest son reportedly denies wrongdoing as royal house maintains silence. The charges come after a month-long investigation following Hoibe's multiple arrests in 2024. Oslo police attorney Andreas Krzyzowski confirmed that the number of victims is in the double digits. And apparently he's the heir to the throne, by the way, just to be clear, up there. Krzyzowski said the charges include 1 case of rape with intercourse, 2 cases of rape without intercourse, 4 cases of sexual assault, and 2 cases of bodily harm. Okay, so here's my question. The threshold in Scandinavia for sexual assault, rape, and things like that tends to be on the low side. It tends to be basically she thought that she was being victimized at the time. It's basically the hashtag #MeToo culture. Is it possible that this individual is actually completely innocent of all of these charges and he's just a fucking playboy? I think that the answer is yes. It is entirely possible that we're talking about someone who has a lot of money, has influence, decides to go on a bender and, fucks around and then he finds out, basically. It's entirely possible. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. We've seen this before, by the way. We've seen this with, Marilyn Manson. You're rich, you're influential and relatively powerful, you've got kind of a household name, and you like to fuck women. You like to have sex. Believe it or not, rock and rollers sometimes like to have sexual intercourse with other people. Then somebody regrets having had sex with you. They get married 10 years later, and they're like, oh, but I lost my virginity to that crazy gothy guy. And so they complain to the police. And because of the hashtag #MeToo bullshit, they are taken seriously automatically, and then they are crucified effectively. Marilyn Manson has had a career revival since then. I wish him well. Congratulations. Cheers to you with Dr. Pepper. You could do worse. Trust me. But this has happened before, and I really resent it. I think that it's a pile of bullshit. And so I'm not going to crucify this person. And he looks like, what, fucking 20 or some shit like that? He looks like he's 20, maybe 25 or something. Maybe he's just underdeveloped. I don't know. But he doesn't look like he's a particularly old individual. And so I'm going to spare the rod rather than spoil the child at this particular time, because I have no clue if he's guilty. How am I supposed to know? You have to look at the evidence. The problem is, in most of these cases, they don't really look at the evidence at all. That's the whole problem. Copium Poppies. We made another t-shirt design with 2 different variants. Make sure to order yours now at copiumpoppies.com/pages/store. By the way, they do look really good. Everyone should check that out. Cold Summer. I agree with your idea of freeing the Tiger King and putting him in the new alligator prison, and we need to meme this into happening. Can you imagine how epic it would be Donald Trump creates a new penitentiary for thousands of people down in the middle of the Everglades. And they lure in the alligators with those alligator snacks that they literally use on the boat tours. I was on one when I was down in Louisiana. So just import like bags and bags of gator lures and just, you have hundreds of them around. So everyone's too afraid to leave. That would be pretty funny. Forest Hill, yes, I was Botany 101. Jimmy Stargle, tea is better for you. Yeah, actually had tea last night. I've got lots of tea around here. I've got some right here. Let's show off the tea, mate. You want to see tea? You think that you're a tea aficionado? Let's see, we've got Yunnan Jin. We've got Cha-Cha. These are all from Jam and Bean, by the way. Pura Tahiti, which is probably delicious. That's another kind of black tea, actually. Jasmine Shanhao. This is a green tea. And then we've got white gingerbread apricot, which is a white and oolong tea. So yeah, you try to lecture me on tea, you gonna get some spanking, nigga. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that in a live stream. Yeah, well, if somebody flags it, it doesn't matter. IDF kills key Hamas founder and mastermind of October 7th terror attack in Israel. Haqqan Mohammed Issa al-Issa was actively working to rebuild Hamas organizational systems damaged during the war. Yeah, it looks like the new commander of Hamas was all screwed up. This is not a huge surprise, by the way. Israel has been going after the entire leadership structure of Iran now for months, and it appears that they've been mostly successful. And so, they Sensei song. Copium Poppies, you didn't use a hard R. It's fine. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's no different than a rap song, I suppose. But the IDF has gone after the leadership of Hamas. Mostly, they've wiped them out. They've wiped them off the face of the earth. The entire leadership structure has either fled, scattered, or been killed at this point. So, there's not really that much left, honestly. The same is true of Iran. In Iran, most of the actual leadership command has been completely decimated. I guess, they've got the Ayatollah. He's in marginal command, but it's only a marginal command at this point. And so Israel, I mean, again, regardless of what you think about Israel's actions, I am anti-war, I will always be anti-war, and so I am not in favor of either Israel or Iran, or Israel or Gaza. I simply think, why don't you people just stop fighting? I mean, I think that that's a no-brainer. That being said, at the same time, you can't deny that the missions have been a success. This is the same, by the way, with the U.S. missions in Iran. I oppose the U.S. missions in Iran. I do not believe in flying in a bunch of stealth bombers and dropping a bunch of bombs on Iranian targets. We're not at war with them. There's no point. It makes no sense. But the actual situation that developed, the actual operation, was an unmitigated success. There were no U.S. casualties. Nuclear capabilities were effectively knocked back to the Stone Age, and so on and so forth. King of Biltong, taste our authentic Angus and Wagyu beef biltong, premium air-dried with bold, savory flavors. Biltong is a high-protein, low-carb snack. Order now at biltongusa.com. Use code STICKS for 10% off. By the way, it is delicious. It's also really good in soup. If you take the Wagyu especially, or any of the shredded meats, and you chop them up into smaller pieces, and you pile them into a soup, oh man, they're awfully good. Especially if you have noodles in it. Had that once. There was, what was it? Which one was it? I think it was the bison, actually. And it was just tossed in, the noodles were cooked, buttery and the normal way, and with some soy, of course. And then you put in some of the Japanese seasoning, and then you put the meat in along with some cabbage, basically, or some other greens. And boy, oh boy, it came out good. Oh, and scallions, of course. You gotta have scallions anytime you have a soup. Copium poppies. Hell, Marilyn Manson's music is up on YouTube and he drops hard R's. He covered rock and roll N-word and uses it multiple times in Irresponsible Hate Anthem. Rumble made me censor this. Free speech. Irresponsible Hate Anthem. Thank you for giving me something to listen to that I hadn't. I've been listening to G.G. Allen for the last few days. Shoot, stab, strangle, beat, and crucify. Great song by G.G. Allen. We had a meteorite over Georgia a couple of days ago, and it disintegrated. It basically blew up. Huge chunk apparently hit a house, actually, and the rest of it is basically scattered around. It'll be kind of hard for the average person to identify the meteor fragments, although it's not that difficult if you have studied geology. That being said, I expect that they'll be around there for a while, degrading slowly into the soil. This is how planets are built. Copium Poppies. That's the first track on Antichrist Superstar. You're not familiar? No, I've never heard it. Anyways, give me a second here. I've got to go take I have returned, believe it or not. We have much more news to talk about, by the way. Parents, not progressives, know their kids best. They should control education. This is an opinion piece that was put out by USA Today. I'm kind of surprised that the USA Today, being as far left as it tends to be, actually allowed this piece out. Democrats and teachers' unions, sorry, I repeat myself, may think that they own your kids and know best what they should learn. They're wrong. It's parents. I have mixed feelings that I'll discuss in a moment. Luckily, parents are winning, and the U.S. Supreme Court on June 27th delivered another victory for parental rights and education that comes as a growing number of states pass laws offering a form of universal private school choice to families. Texas took that step in May, making it the biggest state to do so to date. Yeah, so now it's spread to Maryland and other places. I generally agree with the idea of school choice, of course, I'm completely aboard with. Have no problem with that whatsoever. If somebody's in a district and there are like 5 or 6 schools available, they should be able to choose the school that they want. And that's perfectly fine. That being said, if you expect children to obey their parents or anything like that, you've got another thing coming. It's not going to work. It's literally not going to work, my friend. Sorry, but children are going to disobey their parents most of the time. Oh, King of Biltong is going. Bye, my friend. I will eat some biltong in your honor. Yeah, we've got all sorts of crazy people on here. We got the King of Biltong, we got Lemon Curd, we got Sigilstone, we got Wasted, we got Shaylock. Shaylock, I'm afraid J.D. Vance will turn out to be another Pence. It's possible it can be bought, bullied, or blackmailed. I don't think so. I think it's going to be very difficult to do such a thing to him. I have a feeling that he is going to be much better than Mike Pence. Yeah, and CP Semple, of course. You are all captains in the Clanker Army. Anton's a general, though. Just saying. We've got an entire army. Argentina onward. It's a good time to be in Argentine. That is, at least in modern history, an unusual statement. But for a country used to economic chaos and national decline, the vistas are all the rosier. Inflation in May dropped to just 1.5%, a rate not since seen May 2020, and a miraculous rate in comparison with the 25.5% monthly inflation rate of December 2023, the month President Javier Milei took office. Yes, indeed, it appears that Milei has stabilized the Argentine economy, for which he should get huge applause, actually. While there is still inflation, and inflation, of course, is mostly year over year, at the same time, to cool it down to that level is something that I don't think that most people thought that he could actually accomplish with his afuera policies, actually. But he managed to accomplish it, so Argentines, yes, you must celebrate. Argentina is actually repairing itself. It's going to take time, though. They're going to have to give him time. This is the problem of socialism. Socialists get into power. They wreck the economy, and they make it pretty much intergenerational. And then when somebody comes along and they try to correct the problems, they get blamed for all the fallout, for the lasting damage that communism basically is caused. That's what's going to happen to Javier Milei, unfortunately. Whether he can weather it or not remains to be seen. The hope is, of course, that he manages to do so. Victoristad, 1991. Manson's Rock and Roll Nigga is a Patti Smythe cover song. Patti Smythe had a punk rock band in the 1980s of her name. Patti Smythe, check it out. I was not aware of this. Copium poppies. Trump turned out to be more like Mike Pence. Lol. I disagree with you on that one. Like your music, like much of your ideology, but I have to placidly disagree with this one. Trump aims to change the nation and further cement his power as deadline looms for Big Beautiful Bill. The Triple B, I believe, will be passed in the end, in a slightly modified form. That's to placate, a handful of neocons that had a problem with certain aspects of the bill. What this does is it diverts a lot of the DEI and nonsensical money making that was being put towards social programs towards actually policing the border. Something that's relatively important. It's one of the reasons that Trump was elected, among other things, diverts it to that. I think that this is ultimately a good idea. I think that it's a relatively popular idea, and I am not alone because it appears that in polling, indeed, it's a fairly popular idea. So I think that Donald Trump scores a win with this. How big of a win remains to be seen. You got to understand, a third of the population are partisan Democrats or core liberals. They're always going to support those causes. Another third are either partisan Republicans or ideological conservatives of some sort. Whether it's MAGA, neocon, doesn't really matter. They're always going to support that. That leaves you with a third of the population that is actually independent thinking. I'm part of that. Right now, I generally support Donald Trump. Not on everything, but in general, I support what Donald Trump is doing. He's going to have to win over at least 51% of those individuals in order to continue with his mandate, so to speak. I think he's made good inroads in doing so. I'm not a huge fan of the Iranian strikes and certain things that he's done, but I think generally speaking he's done a good job. We'll wait and see, basically. At this point, for the next few weeks, because polling always has a lag on it, for the next 2 weeks, there's a wait and see period where we're not exactly sure where the public lies with regards to its approval of Donald Trump. It's going to take roughly 2 weeks, assuming that there's nothing else major that happens, and that's a big assumption. We're going to have to wait about 2 weeks to know exactly what the public actually thinks of his actions with regards to Iran, the Big Beautiful Bill, things like that. There's a lag time, unfortunately, within polling. It's the bane of everyone that wants to analyze these polls, because what you would really want is to get a poll out right at the outset. Right after something happens, say, what do you think about this particular bill? What do you think about this particular act? Or something like that. That's not really, though, the way that it works. What it is that weeks later, they finally have a polling aggregate that's of, relative meaning. And that's really the numbers that you have to go by. Yes, Sith, they stripped the suppressor stuff out. I did see that. That may end up being a video tomorrow, actually. Uh, Dobra the Mam 6140. Hey Sticks, love the channel. Clank harder. Do you think lesbian cults exist in history? Have you spoken about this on video? Clank, clank, clank. Well, yeah, I mean, there's literally an island of Lesbos, off the shores of Turkey. I believe it is controlled by the Greeks, however. Can't remember. So yeah, I would love to see the Isle of Lesbos. That would be quite funny. Joe, Jack and Coke, lol. Are you drinking, lol? Thought you had a court order not to, lol. No, this is from McDonald's. It's actually just Dr. Pepper, but okay. There's a reason I can just chug it and not cough myself to death. No, I've gotten into the habit of drinking Dr. Pepper Zero, and they've actually managed to formulate a zero version of their original soft drink that actually tastes like the original. This has not been replicated by many other companies. Just saying. I had Coca-Cola Zero the other day, and I mean it was all right. There's nothing wrong with it, but it didn't taste like the original. Oh god, I hate this fucking story. UN nuclear watchdog chief says Iran could again begin enriching uranium in a matter of months. Here's what happens. The United States comes into your country, and it drops 7 bunker busters on your facilities, completely leveling them. They're no longer usable. After 2 hits, basically they're completely depleted, along with mother of all bombs and things along those lines. Do you really think that it's only going to take you a few months to rebuild your nuclear program? I mean, you can begin enriching uranium, but you're going to have to spend the next 20 years doing so because you got bombed back to the Stone Age, basically. This is one of those cases where I have to say, oorah for the United States. I do not agree with the actual maneuvers that were done, but at the same time, I do believe that the United States was successful in its endeavors, the endeavors that it took. I don't agree with them, but they were successful. There were no U.S. casualties. We bombed Iran back to the Stone Age, basically, in those facilities. And if they do bring their nuclear systems back online, it's completely meaningless at this point. I mean, what are you going to do? Build a nuclear weapon by 2050 or something like that? I am sure that the Israelis specifically will say within the next couple of years, this is a prediction, an official prediction, they're going to say, well, Iran is going to get the bomb by 2040 or something like that. I suspect that sane people will ignore this and say, well, I mean, number one, who cares? And number two, I mean, oh god, they got an atomic weapon that they can't even miniaturize? Holy shit, what a threat to the United States. I'm sure that they're going to be able to fly a bomber all the way to New York City or something like that. That's never going to happen, dude. I'm not afraid of the Iranians. I don't give a fuck what Iran does. It means absolutely nothing to me. But it was a successful mission. We have to give credit where credit is due, saying, yes indeed, the US military managed to carry out this particular operation without any casualties or of any kind or anything like that, and it went off without a hitch. This is not something that we would have expected from the Biden administration. Let's put it that way. Can you imagine, oh my god, can you imagine if the Biden administration had tried to carry out such an operation? Oh yeah, come on man, I'ma make that Ayatollah do push-ups behind the fence. And he sends out the B-2 bombers. Probably they all would have gotten shot down or something like that. That's what would have happened under the Biden administration. Trump's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm just gonna bomb him. He actually makes it work. It's completely different. It's like night and day, actually, when you think about it. You don't have to agree with the operation itself, but at the very least, can we please appreciate the fact that the operation did actually work? Because under Joe Biden, whether you agreed or didn't agree with the operation, it generally failed, actually. It's rather sad. Inland Surfer. Hi, Sticks. The Tunguska event happened today in 1908. Oh, I've watched a documentary on that. Maybe I'll have to watch that later. Happy Meteor Watch Day, everyone, as Earth passes through the remnants of Comet Encke. Damn, I'm gonna have to watch that documentary later. I've got the original documentary, the one with Leonard Nimoy, actually, from In Search of. Copium poppies. If China can get spy balloons in our airspace, Iran can get a stealth bomber in. Yeah, but they don't have them. That'll be a little bit difficult for them, my friend. Zim the Despot, hear about the fire in Kootenai County, Idaho, so a gunman could shoot firefighters. Shocked me because I live there. I was on the other side of the county, thankfully, but it still shocked me. Yeah, it's all over TV, actually. I don't have any particular details on that story at the moment. Mikhail, 1062. The only country to nuke civilians gatekeeps those who have said weapons. Yeah, it is a little bit odd. Yeah, the US nuked Japan, quite literally, and yet wants to decide who else can have nuclear weapons. I have found this a little bit odd throughout time. Bobby Walter, you can't say Iran don't have stealth bombers. That's racist, Sticks. Yeah, they don't have B-2s, that's for sure. Jimmy Stargle. Richard Vernadow. T-shirt, Clankets do it better. Yeah, they do it real good. Jimmy Stargle, get your metal detectors out, iron and nickel and some meteorites, go looking. Yeah, people are actually foraging for chunks of the meteorite that blew up over Georgia at the moment. Oh, we got our mail. Hopefully I got something good. Earlier, the only thing that came was for my mom. I don't know what she got. Probably some seeds or some shit like that. Lemon curd. Clankets will stir you big time. Don't threaten me with a good time. Forest Hill sent you a fleshlight and pearly gates morning glory seeds. Yeah, as you can probably tell, I've gone a little bit insane, actually. I carry around a flail and dress like a pirate, and it's all good. It does not matter anymore. Just imagine that you've gotten to the point where you're like, yeah, fuck, whatever. That's basically where I am. But I will say, even when it's flat, Dr. Pepper is good. Best thing you can do is chill it, but this is a little bit unchilled, unfortunately. How sad. Yes, the floggings will continue until morale improves. Now I look like I'm in a porno, I think. Whoops. Somebody will put that online, I'm sure. Blindside whammy. Hey, Sticks, you like occult stuff. Aren't chunks of meteorite used in shamanic ritual cleanses? Good to see you streaming in the morning again, by the way. They are used in making ritual blades, which are very, very expensive. Basically, it's the only thing that would be a step above Damascus steel. But of course, it's a little bit more scarce. Nope. Yep, you got actually. There we go. Yeah, I thought about getting a meteor dagger once, but then I was like, technically speaking, it is the same metal you can get on Earth. It's just been smelted down, so what's the problem? Dexter Spunky. Dude, a sword, lol. I should show you my whole collection. I've got a lot more of them. I've also got, by my side, this was sent by a subscriber. Yeah. That, hook is for pulling skin off of the body. So, anyone who wants to fuck with me, I've got another thing coming. Just saying. I keep it unhooked, generally speaking, just in case I need it. Then I can also bash their brains out, so, you know, that's all good too. It's all good. Inland Surfer. For Tunguska fanatics, sorry. YouTube Randall Carlson for his take on the event. He's an amazing researcher and excellent storyteller. You'll never see the sky the same again. Yeah, also the In Search Of documentary on the Tunguska event. Lemon Curd, didn't you have a Japanese dagger? I think I still have it somewhere. It's just, I don't know exactly where I put it. That's the whole point. I've got quite a few weapons around. This, I think, is still my favorite, though. My flail is, invaluable. Imagine being able to slam it into somebody's, skull and crack it in a single hit. Sounds like fun to me. Easter Sunday. Stick should take up archery. I've tried it. I am absolutely no good at archery. I'm very good at marksmanship, but with archery, that doesn't work so well. Irresponsible hate anthem. I'll cue that up. Listen to that later. Smells like macaroni and cheese for some reason at the moment. No. We'll see later, I suppose. Decoration. Bobby Bobinson. He's hallucinating. No, I'm quite lucid, actually. I've just decided to stop taking life so seriously. Vigil, I Roby hooded one arrow into the knock of the previous shot. Two arrows and one. Copium Poppy's Sticks listened to the entire Antichrist Superstar album. Not just irresponsible hate anthem. Still can't believe you haven't heard it. No, I never heard the song. I've heard a lot of Marilyn Manson songs, and a lot of them are really good. Some of them are just, more or less filler or something like that. But lately he's had a couple of bangers, including his, not just the one-offs, but the covers that he's done, actually. Bobby Bobbinson. Sticks, the Clankats want you to stick your biltong into their hoo-has. Well, I mean, they're welcome. Anyone's welcome to message me on Twitter. Just saying. Oh, lemon curd. That's rather sad. No, actually, it happens quite commonly. Just saying. We'll listen to that in a little bit. Copium Poppy's dude deep dive on his albums, particularly Antichrist, Mechanical Animals, and Hollywood. They're a multi-part concept album and are more relevant today than they were when they came out. Yeah, no, Manson has really grown in his capabilities since he stopped using drugs constantly. Apparently, he actually got a lot better. And it was funny because Nicolas Cage actually did a piece on some Pope-related video where he pretended to be Marilyn Manson. Actually did a good job at the time. And it was hysterical because then Marilyn Manson basically de-aged 20 years or thereabouts. He now looks like he's my age, like maybe late 30s at most, maybe mid 30s, and does music again, and it's really really good. Like "Raise the Red Flag" is one of my favorite songs actually. It's probably my favorite song from Marilyn Manson. I like it better than Antichrist. He did a great job on that. He did a great job on, well, basically everything that he's been making. His one-offs, like Cry Little Sister, and things like that. His covers, those songs, I really, really like. Lemon Curd, what? Nicolas Cage isn't Manson? Yeah, at first I thought it was... He did such a good job impersonating him that at first I thought it was the literal Marilyn Manson, actually. I was fooled into it. Yeah, I thought that was actually him. Because I was like, oh, it looks just like him and everything else. And, but it wasn't. It was Nicolas Cage, apparently. And I'm not even a Nicolas Cage fan. Mostly, I hate his material, honestly. But for some reason, he managed to nail Marilyn Manson exactly. I don't know how he did it, but he did. No, Fireburn, I do not believe that I'm going to jail. You're about to see some crazy shit that you've never seen before in your lives. Regardless of what happens, by the way. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I will be back tomorrow with another live stream. Just a sec here. I've got to go and organize things. It's impossible for me to not organize things. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with more news. I've got plenty of it. That's about all. Peace out.